Children of the Moon by Richard Middleton. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Children of the Moon by Richard Middleton. Read by Virgil. The boy stood at the place where the park trees stopped, and the smooth lawn slid away gently to the great house. He was dressed only in a pair of ragged knickerbockers and a gaping buttonless shirt, so that his legs and neck and chest shone silver bare in the moonlight. By day he had a mass of rough golden hair, but now it seemed to brood above his head like a black cloud that made his face deathly white by comparison. On his arms there lay a great heap of gleaming dew-wet roses and lilies, spoiled of the park flower beds. Their cool petals touched his cheek and filled his nostrils with aching scent. He felt his arms smarting here and there, where the thorns of the roses had torn them in the dark, but these delicate caresses of pain only served to deepen to him the wonder of the night that wrapped him about like a cloak. Behind him there dreamed the black woods, and over his head multitudinous stars quivered and balanced in space. But these things were nothing to him, for far across the lawn that was spread knee-deep with a web of mist, there gleamed for his eager eyes the splendor of a fairy palace. Red and orange and gold, the lights of the fairy revels shone from 100 windows and filled him with wonder that he should see with wakeful eyes the jewels that he had desired so long in sleep. He could only gaze and gaze until his straining eyes filled with tears, and set the enchanted lights dancing in the dark. On his ears that heard no more the crying of the night birds and the quick stir of the rabbits in the brake, there fell the strains of far music. The flowers in his arms seemed to sway to it, and his heart beat to the deep pulse of the night. So enraptured were his senses that he did not notice the coming of the girl. She was able to examine him closely before she called to him softly through the moonlight. "Boy! Boy!" At the sound of her voice he swung round and looked at her with startled eyes. He saw her excited little face in her white dress. "Are you a fairy?" he asked hoarsely, for the night mist was in his voice.
"No," she said. "I'm a little girl. You're a wood boy, I suppose."
He stayed silent, regarding her with a puzzled face. Who was this little white creature with a tender voice that had slipped so suddenly out of the night? "As a matter of fact," the girl continued, "I've come out to have a look at the fairies."
"There's a ring down in the wood. You can come with me if you like, wood boy."
He nodded his head silently, for he was afraid to speak to her, and set off through the wood by her side, still clasping the flowers to his breast.
"What were you looking at when I found you?" she asked. "The palace. The fairy palace," the boy muttered. "The palace?" the girl repeated. "Why, that's not a palace. That's where I live." The boy looked at her with new awe, if she were a fairy. But the girl had noticed that his feet made no sound beside her shoes. "Don't the thorns prick your feet, wood boy?" she asked. But the boy said nothing, and they were both silent for a while, the girl looking about her keenly as she walked, and the boy watching her face. Presently they came to a wide pool where a little tinkling fountain threw bubbles to the hidden fish. "Can you swim?" she said to the boy. He shook his head. "It's a pity," said the girl. "We might have had a bathe. It would be rather fun in the dark, but it's pretty deep there. We'd better get on to the fairy ring."
The moon had flung queer shadows across the glade in which the ring lay, and when they stood on the edge listening intently, the wood seemed to speak to them with 100 voices.
The man came upon them suddenly from among the silver birches. He had a knapsack on his back, and his hair was as long as a tramp's. At sight of him the girl almost screamed, and her hand trembled in the boy's. Some instinct made him hold it tighter.
"What do you want?" he muttered in his hoarse voice. The man was no less astonished than the children. "What on earth are you doing here?" he cried. His voice was mild and reassuring, and the girl answered him promptly. "I came
Sample complete. Ready to continue?